Welcome back to Arcanum, where I have unstolen that robe. And lost all of my sound effects, apparently. There we go. There are sound effects outside. We have sound effects at home, as your mother would say. No, you can't pasture cows and sheep in the same pasture. What is that on the ground? Nothing, apparently. Just a smudge. Oh, you know what? I think it's flowers. Why is this barrel locked? Tom's fertilizer. Wouldn't want anyone making any bombs. For fuck's sake, go outside already. Is there anything else in Roseburg? Like, are any of these other locations even meaningful? Oh, this looks pretty elaborate. What's up with you? May I ask you a question? Evil place northeast of here. Says it's cold and even in the summertime smells of old dark magic. Give me the shivers just thinking about it. Okay. Totally meaningless. Freshly filled grave, huh? I don't suppose we still have that shovel with us, do we? Not that I want to go grave robbing, but like, I want to know what's in there. Nothing from you. What's up with you, half-orc villager? Leave me be. I have no time for humans, especially you. Might I have a moment of your time, please? Actually, let's swap out my gear here. How about now? Seems very agitated by your presence. What do you want, stranger? I would like you to train me as a master at backstab, Dr. Craig. Surprise appears upon his face, then suspicion returns. Who told you where I was? No one. You have been most difficult to locate. What are you going to do now that you have found me? I merely want training. What you do is your business. I suspect there is a large reward for information leading to my whereabouts. I'm not interested in that. I merely wish to be trained. If I agree to train you, you will promise to leave here and forget you ever saw me? I promise. I have no clue as to your whereabouts. He grudgingly agrees, although still appears very wary. Very well. Come, I will train you. He spends the next few hours explaining anatomy to me and the precise placement of weapons, that they might cause instant death. Very well, Jeremiah Sanchez. Your training is complete. Now leave this place and never speak my name again. Thank you. You are not to speak of my whereabouts, understand? His agitation seems to be increasing. I have no intention of betraying you, Dr. Craig. How can I be sure? Dude. He seems to be struggling with some inner turmoil, then becomes resolute. Very well, I trust you. I think it is time you leave. Goodbye, Jeremiah Sanchez. I feel like this could turn into a fight very easily. I will go. No. I will go. You can trust me. Goodbye, Dr. Craig. As you turn to leave, he suddenly pulls out a dagger, plunging it into your back with exacting precision. Excruciating pain blurs your sight as you try to desperately defend yourself. Ah. How is he still alive? Why, dude? What's up with this dagger? Is it cursed? Dagger of speed. Guess not. Was it because of what I said? I did intentionally pick the option that seemed that like it would cause him more distress, but okay, let's just make a beeline over there. I'm just curious if he always tries to kill you. And that's with my dramatically enhanced negotiation skill as well. Or reaction thing. Goodbye, Doctor. Nope. Tries to kill you anyway, so he has to die. Fascinating. Yeah, I have no idea why he was so hard to kill before. Well, I have not been drinking my wine. I gotta do that. Wouldn't want it to go to waste. Well, the secret is safe with me. Has to be now. Okay, so we'll just make a beeline over to the circle over here. Oh, freaked me out because it coincided with my pressing the button, but no, it's just the cougar dematerializing. What? Why now? Fucking wagon wheel over there? What the fuck is that? What is that? Apparently it's nothing, but... Something tells me we'll be back later. We'll be back here later for plot. Okay, well, is that really it? This whole town is nothing but a small semblance of plot, the backstab master who we kill, and then JT Morgan's mom. That feels awfully weird. Oh, excuse me. But, short of me actually forgetting something. Some of these are easier to follow up on now that I can teleport directly to where I need to be to do them. But a lot of them are just waiting on other things. Still need to make... Oh, fuck. I put away all that mithril, so now I can't make the key for the Iron Clan location. I guess I'll have to go back to Tarrant. But not today. I think that's the... Yeah, okay. And what was the other one? So... We could bring the mithril for that bow if we really wanted to. We should find out whether that mithril replenishes in the Wheel Clan store. Because I think we've got a total of 3 now. I don't know if it's a totally limited resource or not. We're still looking for horror among the Dark Elves. What is our next step there? I thought we were gonna come here. Oh, fuck. We need that, his dad's buried here. That's what it is. Or he's buried here. Hold on. Where's the fucking cemetery? Owen Moore. Philip Misk. This is what we need to do. Dig up this grave. Anybody know where I can get a fucking shovel? Let's check the gift shop. Actually, we can check the, hopefully the blacksmith can make one. Or has made one. Wait a minute, have we been in here? Yeah, okay. I just didn't I didn't realize the walk up with the trees was there before. Fuck's sake. Should do that more often. I just keep forgetting to do it because it was such a pain in the ass in Tarrant because it would break all the time. Got a shovel? No shovel. Can I ask you to make me a shovel? Can I cast a spell to lift the dirt? Are you gonna make me go back to Tarrant for a shovel? I guess they're maybe not expecting you to dispose of the shovel that you had from Caledon. Forgive my momentary prejudice, good sir. I sense a great mastery of technology within you. Okay. I don't know why that prejudice is not... I know that it is prejudice is not technically a negative, does not technically have a negative connotation, but in modern usage it does. Anybody in this fucking town got a shovel? Shovel. Nope. Dig. God damn it. Yeah, I gotta go find a shovel. Well, I guess I have to go back to Tarrant anyway. That's... what a joke, though. Like, that's straight up embarrassing. I'm gonna go teleport a month's journey away to get the most basic of human tools. Wouldn't be Arcanum if I didn't have to do this shit. Unless I threw away all my shovels, which would be extra funny. And definitely not frustrating as shit. So seeing as nobody in this fucking continent has a shovel, I don't know, game, what do you want from me? Should get rid of this stone. It's a project for another day. Hold on, maybe Virgil wants the Inferno Hammer. Nope. Okay. Sog, can you please carry these things for me? Thank you. I guess we gotta go on a shovel hunt. Unbelievable. It's not blocked. Is it because one of my dopey friends is in the way? Please have a shovel. Why would you create a town where you need a shovel for the main story and cannot purchase one? It's hard enough to even figure out what I need to do there. Fucking shovel. While we're here, let's read that copy of the Tarantian that I wanted to read. Buy a newspaper. Today's paper, doubtlessly... Jesus. That is not how a good newspaper or magazine seller should operate. You should be able to have a transaction with a, like, a newspaper booth without anyone uttering a word. The only thing I'm coming back in here for is bullets. Thank you. And now, let's teleport back. Across the continent. Not the time for a load game. Don't break my game, please. Speaking of which, let's save again before this all gets wrecked and I have to do it again. Playing with fire here. Yeah, sirens, that's about how I feel too. This is Misks? Yep. Hold on, did I put the... I still keep forgetting to... I was gonna feel really dumb if I had put the shovel in my inventory, or in here and not... I can't? Really, of all the items, the shovel is the one that can't be put in a hot slot. Garbage. Hold on, why does that come up as a spell? Whatever, let's save again. So that when I am inevitably arrested for grave robbing, I can reload. Skull, because I'm morbid like that. And what I can only presume is the book that I'm looking for. Sanang, War Amongst the Dark Elves. I dedicate this to my dearest Raven. I would gladly face again these horrors and 1,000 others for only another moment with you. So, it is in the north of the Glimmering Forest. Dearest reader, it is only with the greatest fear and trepidation that I share this harrowing tale with you today. Even here, safe within the confines of my own home, I am still overcome with dread at the thought of what I am about to tell you, and what it might mean for those close to me. Nope. For me or those close to me. And yet I feel compelled to do so, and the great muse guides my pen to this paper, and the words flow forth from the darkest regions of my heart and mind, where they have stayed well hidden until this very evening, comma. I beg of you, give ear to my confessions, and, if it please you, take this tale from me and return only your belief and trust that only your... Put some fucking commas in. I feel like a crazy person. Take this tale from me and return only your belief, comma, and trust that what you are about to hear is only and nothing but the truth. My name is Renford A. Terwilliger, born of the outlying regions of Ashbury, not far from the lair of Bellargrim, where they found the bones of the great dragon. My childhood was a bright one, full of happiness and light, and my parents gave to me all that a child might need. I was schooled both practically and excellently, and when my 18th year came round, I was accepted into Tarrant University, and ultimately found my way into the Tarantian Zoological Society. Archaeology was first love, but my first assignment with the society was with the Cultural Anthropology Department. It was somewhat of a farce, actually, but the society had been given an enormous grant by one of Tarrant's leading philanthropists for a very specific purpose. That purpose was to confirm the existence of the Dark Elves. Every man, woman, and child in Arcanum has been raised on ghost stories and bedtime tales of these great, strange people known only as the Dark Elves. To the anthropologists, they are the proverbial oasis in the desert. Proof of their existence has always literally disappeared into the air. No man had ever set eyes upon them, and not one shred of physical evidence had ever been found to establish that they were real. Myths and legends were plentiful, but for the itinerant scientists, these mean less than nothing. What was needed was undeniable evidence, and I set out on this adventure with determination and confidence in my ability to bring forth just that. Had I known what lay ahead, I would have forsworn both anthropology and philanthropy, and returned to work as a day laborer in the Ashbury shipyards. Better the back-breaking work than the nightmares I face every night. Before leaving Tarrant, I employed the services of a certain Jaren Benal, an elven tracker who was recommended to me by the noble Mr. Quentin Payne, famed explorer and gentleman in every sense of the word. Jaren Benal had been born in the Glimmering Forest, and it was said that there wasn't a more knowledgeable man about the deep elven groves this side of the Stonewall Mountains. His fees were a little less than reasonable, but I had been given enormous liberty in spending the allotted funds, and it was my honest opinion that Mr. Benal was crucial to the success of the mission. I couldn't have been more correct. Within weeks, we were well within the deepest and yet uncharted regions of the Western Glimmering, and and never once did the unflappable Mr. Banal look to his compass or consult a map. Occasionally he would stand for a moment within a clearing or beneath a great tree, head cocked, eyes closed, but aside from these infrequent moments of meditation, it was all we could do to keep up with him. Should have a paragraph break there if you ask me. Upon the 42nd day of our journey, we came to a great meadow, seemingly alive with the multitude of birds and butterflies that flew above it. Crossing this fragrant and lively field was one of the most vivid moments I'd experienced on my journey so far, and I was so enthralled by the scene around me, that I almost missed the most spectacular vision given to the eyes of mortal man. Kintara, the greatest elven tree city. Wow, man, it's got like, what, 10 people in it? Kintara, the great elven tree city, lay within the towering trees at the end of the clearing, hanging like a cut jewel on the crown of a king. The mother tree, almost 400 feet tall, housed the intricately carved Hull of Truth, which shone white and smooth in the noonday sun. Impossibly thin walkways wove in and out of the boughs of the great tree, not taking away from its natural beauty, but adding to it, as if the city were merely a convenient and beautiful tangle of leaves and branches, tattooed with the flowing runes and symbols in the ancient elven tongue. And among these, the graceful and lithe forms of the elves, singing their beautiful songs and looking down upon the ragtag group of men with curiosity and amusement. Of Kintara, I can say only this. The month I spent there was the best of my entire life. I learned much less about the Dark Elves than I would have liked. Almost nothing at all, really. But the moments I spent there were strange and wonderful and breathtaking, and I will not do them a disservice by attempting to put them into words. Slight phrasing issue there. Suffice to say that I learned there as a young man what often takes others a lifetime, and to my teacher I give heartfelt thanks and the warmest greetings. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think of you. We left the trees of Kintara with little more than faint whispers about the Dark Elves and where they might be found. The elves of Kintara were very reluctant to speak of them, and they begged us to forget such foolishness and go home to Tarant. I, of course, would hear no such talk, and we traveled on, north this time, as Mr. Banal believed he had uncovered a clue as to their whereabouts during his investigations while in Kintara. And he had discovered a name, Senang, the home of the Dark Elves. I'm not sure why that's a separate thing, or even, that's not a sentence, but fuck it. Generally, this is actually quite well written, if contextually a little bit depressing in its lack of context. We traveled for 17 more days, exhausting our supplies and sending most of the party back to Tarant. The forest had become thicker and more brambly, and it seemed that many of the trees were adorned with thorns, some more than a foot long. Another week, and it was only Mr. Banal and myself, and we had agreed to return before the first of the month if we failed to find any further evidence of the Dark Elves' existence. That gave us 6 days to find Senang, and we pressed on despite our anxiety and fatigue. On the day before we had planned to return, the weather took a vicious turn. From out of the north came dark thunderheads, and lightning flew down from the sky like barbed lances of white fire. It began to rain, and we found an uneasy shelter beneath the massive roots of one of the great trees, which seemed poised over us like a giant and grotesquely gnarled hand. I was shivering, and not altogether from the cold and rain. Weird shadows played at the trunks of the trees as the storm strengthened and the lightning became more frequent. Thunder tore the sky above our heads. I looked at Mr. Banal, and for the first time since we left Tarant, I saw fear reflected in his eyes. I can't say when I first became aware of them, but one moment, while looking out through the rain, I began to notice shadows that stayed even after the lightning had subsided. Those shadows became phantoms, the phantoms something worse. They were stock still, tall and wiry, ghostly faces the color of ivory, with eyes of the blackest night. Their hair hung in limp strands, against their foreheads and cheeks, and they stood unblinking, oblivious to the storm and its ragings. Banal screamed something to my right, and then was pulled bodily from our shelter to the roots above. He screamed once more, and then was silent. I never heard from nor saw him again. I ran headlong past the elves in front of me, swinging blindly to clear a path. I was mad with fear, and my feet carried me deeper into the forest. I thought I heard dark and twisted laughter above me, and shadowy figures darted amongst the trees to my left and right. Thorns tore at my arms and legs, and I stumbled amongst stones and underbrush, screaming incoherently. More than once, great elven arrows sunk into the trees around me, grazing my skin as they flew by. They were playing with me, enjoying the hunt, waiting for just the right moment. My head was light from exhaustion and blood loss, and I fell to my knees, gasping for air. When I looked up, I saw it. There, in the trees above me, was Senang, the home of the Dark Elves. Unlike Kintara, Senang was an abomination, slouched in the branches like a great beast waiting for its prey. There were sputtering fires all along its battlements, and great spikes protruding from every surface like dragon spines. And I saw robed figures, gaunt and terrible, lined along its walkway and looking down upon me, beckoning, it seemed, for me to join them. I screamed again, and the figures seemed to raise their voices in unison, a terrible call without sound or meaning, but I heard them nonetheless. They were cursing me. They were welcoming me. In moments, I was surrounded again by my pursuers. Through the downpour, I saw them unsheath daggers, their ghostish smiles floating towards me as the thunder roared above. I closed my eyes, praying to whatever god would hear me. There was nothing else I could do. And then, from nowhere, arrows were flying from behind me and above me. In moments, I was encircled completely with the half-buried shafts of the thickest hunting arrows, and the dark elves around me whirled to and fro in confusion. One pulled his bow from his back and notched an arrow in one flowing movement, but was shot through the heart before he'd raised it past his shoulder. He fell silently, unbelieving. The others looked at me for a moment, the purest hatred harbored in their eyes, and then disappeared into the night, hands conspicuously at their sides. Amazed and spent, I fainted. I woke some days later, many miles from the northern reaches of the Glimmering. I was alone, but my wounds had been treated, and my supplies had been replenished. I was back in Tarant, not 2 weeks later. I never met my rescuers, but I can guess who they were. And where they were from. And I thank them if they are reading this. Without their aid, I surely would have died there in the shadow of Senang. And so, dear friend, I again beg you to believe these words and the man who has told them to you. I do so only to share this burden with others, to gain comfort among those of my kind. At the very least, let these words stand as a warning to you. Often, evil is a tangible thing, and sometimes it is a people and a place. Such are the Dark Elves, and such is the hell that is called their home. I have never returned to the Glimmering Forest, and I pray that I never do. Some things are better left alone. All right. Credit where it's due. Aside from some editing issues, pretty decent piece of prose there. Coherent, put in good context. Just generally a solid piece of writing there. Not extraordinary, but in the context of everything else that Arcanum has delivered to me, it is without a doubt a standout. So, props to whoever on the team wrote that one. And then a follow-up question as to why they weren't all that good. So, completed, locate the village of the Dark Elves. Completed, obtain a copy of Horror Among the Dark Elves. So, we've got some other things to follow up on. But a whole bunch of things are coming to a close. So, next time on Arcanum, we've got a few things to follow up on, and we'll craft some keys, go some places, clean some things up, and eventually we'll make it up to the northern part of the Glimmering Forest and see what we find there. Thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.